As I've been thinking about our holiday that gathers us here, this thing that we call Thanksgiving, it occurs to me that no matter how it began, we together have managed to make this a thoroughly non-offensive and vague holiday, and I think that's a good thing. Thanksgiving has this sort of vagueness that works for us so that it doesn't offend anybody, because here we've made a day that is dedicated to the practice of gluttony, to tryptophan comas, to sitting in front of football games so that nobody can tell that we've loosened our belts. It is perfect for us in our day and age, but it allows us this sort of vague sense of thankfulness to attach that to wherever we need to attach that. So it's a celebration of this idea of being thankful, this idea of being grateful, and we're able to turn that to wherever we need it. I am grateful that Mom made her mashed potatoes this year. See, it works. I am grateful Uncle Joe has not had as much to drink yet so far this year. See, it works. I am grateful that no one is talking politics. Oh, never mind. Please pass me something with a lot of carbohydrates so I can eat myself into unconsciousness. We've created this holiday that works for us because it allows us to attach thankfulness and gratitude to whatever it is that we need it to be. This sense of vague gratitude works. But it's interesting, if you ever go to one of our local bookstores and you wander through these self-help aisles, it doesn't take long for you to notice that gratitude and thankfulness show up there as well. So this idea of being grateful, this idea of being thankful, it turns out can be a powerful tool for self-actualizing, for making ourselves the best self that we can be. We can hold ourselves grateful as a way to help our low self-esteem, to get out from under our sense of personal failure and shame, as a way to unclog our sinks. Now, I may have made one of those three up, but I refuse to tell you which one. You have to go home and try gratituding hard enough to see which one it is. In the self-help aisle, this idea of thankfulness, this vague sense of being this sort of amorphous thankful, is lifted up as a powerful cure and a way to change ourselves. It's a way to make us better people, feel better about ourselves, be more self-actualized. The problem is, we are Christians, and Christians don't do vague. So we come to this holiday that is based in vagueness, and we don't do vague. We have a faith that forms us, that is the ground of who we are, that is shockingly and scandalously specific. As Christians, we come into this holiday and we form ourselves around a very specific sentence. There was a guy. Actually, that's it. There was a guy. A specific guy. A particular guy who lived in a particular place. Who lived at a particular time. Who was desperately poor. Who experienced homelessness. Who was arrested and beaten. He gathered friends and told terrible jokes. He played in the dirt as a child. He gathered at supper with entirely the wrong kinds of people. And in him, in this guy, God fulfilled God's promises. There was a guy, and in him, God came to us. and showed us a kingdom that was already here in our midst. Who in his outstretched, blood-soaked arms welcomed us and let us know we were heirs. We were children. We are beloved. We are beautiful. There was a guy, and that's where our faith begins. There was a guy who is and was the fulfillment of all God's promises. And you notice how specific that is. There was a guy. And so as Christians, we come to this holiday that works because it's vague with a very specific sense of who attached to our thankfulness. Because as Christians, we know who keeps his promises. We know because of that guy. And so as we look around at the world, at the things that we might be thankful for, that our neighbors and our friends might lift up in gratitude and thankfulness at this holiday, and we look at ourselves and our family and our world and our money and our mashed potatoes, we know who because of that guy. We know that we have those things because in the beginning, God. Full stop. We didn't create the world, and we know this. We didn't create ourselves, and we know that God has fulfilled God's promises, that God has given us everything. And that changes how we are grateful and what we have to be thankful for. Because we know in the beginning God, and God has given us these things not for our sake, but so that we can care for the things that God loved so much to create. And then God has given them into our care and said, take care of these. Tend them for me. Use them as I would, since they are mine. And so together we come into this holiday with a who attached to our gratitude. And that changes the way we experience it too. Because if we know who we are thankful to, we also know who we are not. We are not the ones who created the world, nor ourselves. We are not the ones who have done all these things, and we're not the ones that earned our place in this world. But those are gifts from God, who in the beginning, God. And so we come to Thanksgiving simply because God keeps God's promises. In Deuteronomy, that first reading, which are instructions for after God had fulfilled these extraordinary promises given to slaves that he had set free. And in that recounting of all the things that God had done, everything starts from this statement: I declare today that God has kept God's promises. Since we know the who, we know whose promises they are. And we come in with that specific sense that all our lives, all our faith, all of our mashed potatoes and our turkey and our stuffing and our families and our houses and our money and our investments and our homes and all of those things, those are God's. So together we come with a who attached. We know who it is that keeps promises. Together we know who we are grateful to, who we are thankful to and for on account of, because there was a guy. And that guy, in that guy, God gave us everything. His whole kingdom, even God's self. And so together we come into this holiday thankful for an awful lot, don't you think? Grateful for an awful lot, don't you think? The thing is, we know who we are thankful to.